All right, guys, welcome back to another weekend AMA. Um, look how sick this mug is. I can't get over this. So, if any of you played the new God of War, I got the God of War Special Edition loot crate, and this was one of the items sent into it. But anyhow, for those of you who are new to the channel, every weekend I like to do an AMA where we answer your questions and try and provide a little bit of mentoring, because I think that's really important. And it should be an objective of any dev, is how we can give back to the community, right? I usually like to start off with a question that's dev related, and I guess we could say this one is kind of dev related. Typically I start off with a question that's dev related as people funnel in here. Today I'm talking about something that's a little bit, and I think it's going to be relevant for some of you. It will definitely be more relevant once you're in a similar situation. But we're going to talk about making an upgrade in your life and what that basically means, right? So, there's one of the crazy things that happens in software development is you can go in a 4-year time, like me, right? So in 4 years ago, I was in college. I had my first internship, and then anyhow, so probably closer to 3.5 years, that you can go from making $12 an hour to making 6 figures, and your life can change, right? So that opens up a lot of different ideas. That opens up a lot of different opportunities. 4 years ago, I was delivering pizzas. Today, I am putting money into a 401k. I have, a year worth of bills in the bank. I'm looking to buy a house. I'm doing a lot of things that weren't realities or even possible in my previous situation, where I was sitting on sleeping on a couch, or barely afford, my mom was bringing me food and stuff like that because I can afford it and still pay rent and stuff. So, there's this certain responsibility, and this video, I don't want to talk about, oh, look how great, turn your life around or anything like that. But part of it is, look at what you can accomplish when you invest into yourself and put the time and energy into yourself. Another part of it is, you are going to be going through such a financial evolution, if you will. Say you're a recent college grad, you just graduated boot camp. Chances are you're probably leaving a $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 role, and you might be starting at 60. 2 years later, you'll be at 80. 2 years later, 100, whatever it may be, depending on how you go. And you need to start planning correctly financially and start making good choices, because you don't know when that money's going to dry up. You don't know when it's going to happen, and you have to understand how to upgrade your life and not to waste it, right? So and I'm not saying everyone's got to be a penny pincher like me. I tend to make, the first thing I did when I started making more money is I paid off all my debt, all of it. I have no debt at all. I never really had that much, but that'd be the first thing I would suggest. The next thing is I've invested. I saved money, invested, and now I'm looking to buy a house. So I bring this up because I want you guys to start thinking about, you're thinking right now you make $30,000, and you're saying, dude, there's no money for 401k. There's no money to save, right? And I understand that, but when you move into software development, that 30,000 becomes 60,000. Don't double your cost of living. Don't do that. Instead, say, okay, we had to take on some debt along the way. How can we handle it? How can we knock it out? And then we'll increase our cost of living a little bit, right? A little bit. So these are the types of things I want you to start thinking about now, so that when the money does come, when the lifestyle changes do come, you start making better choices. An easy thing I can say for you is, it's when it comes to money specifically, and we're talking a lot about money, but it's really more than that. It's about planning for your future. It's about, it's about making good financial choices rather than money, if that makes sense. Because, good financial choices can allow you to give more, can allow you to, what, I have a brother who might need some help. He might need a place to stay. If I invest in my future and save and get a house, I can give him a room to rent for low cost or free till he gets on his feet. Our parents are getting older. They may need some assistance, right? It's about making that transition in life where, we're so used to our parents taking care of us. Even, I'm 30 years old, right? But I will always be my mother's child, right? I'm a grown ass man, but I will always be my mother's child. But at some point when you become a man, or woman, an adult, you realize that the roles reverse to a degree where you say, okay, mom, dad, they got me here. What can I do for them? Right? They made sure that I was raised proper. They fed me, clothed me. What can I do for them? When the time comes, right? How can I help them, right? As they grow older and their lives change, their lives mature in a different direction, right? How can we help them? And so it is one of those things where I want you to start thinking about it. I want you to start understanding that this is part of your life. And that's why when you go in and you're doing salary negotiations or, accepting counter offers for perhaps, it is never think it comes from a place from greed, at least in my case, where, I need more money. I need more money. It is, well, I just don't want money for the sake of having money. I want the money because I understand it gives me options. It gives me the ability to set up my future, set up my family's future, and do things that can help other people. And I want you to start thinking about that, because the last thing I want you to do is go from making $20 an hour to $40 an hour. And what you do is you get a baller ass apartment. So you're still living paycheck to paycheck, and you go and get a baller ass car you can't afford, right? That's the last thing I want you to do. Do you guys know how much my car is brand new? Like, it's a $13,000 car, brand new. 2015 Mitsubishi Mirage. I bought it. It's $13,000. 100,000 mile warranty. $13,000, brand new. My new income is six figures. Do you think I'm going to go buy a $60,000 car? Of course not. I will be driving the same $13,000 car that today, and it's missing a hubcap on top of it. There's a hubcap. I looked it up. It's gonna be like $50. So like, screw it. I'm not paying $50 for a Mitsubishi hubcap. I ain't got that. I'm not worried about that. So stop being so worried about appearances and start worrying about, what's next in my life. And what's next in my life personally is buying a house. That's what I'm excited about. So, stop being, if you can, here's some words of wisdom I want you to understand. If you can't afford to buy it cash, you can't afford it. That's true 99% of the time. The 1% is like a house ownership. But truly, like your phone right here, if you can't afford to buy your phone cash, you need to get a cheaper phone. If you have to make a monthly payment, you need to have a cheaper phone. If you can't afford to buy a fridge, you need to go to the swap meet and get a fridge for $50. If you can't afford the clothes, some nice clothes, that's fine, man. Get yourself some hand-me-downs. You need to do you get what I'm saying, man? It is one of those things where live within your means, plan for your future, and make smart decisions, and that's part of maturing as well. So anyhow, guys, yeah, a good quote is, if you can't buy something twice, you can't afford it. It's true. Anyhow, guys, that's my spiel for the start of this video. We got some people in here now. Let's go ahead and see what y'all are talking about. I'm up early. It's not that early. It's 9, man. I wake up. So for those of you who don't know, I wake up about 6 to 6:30 every day, and I hit the gym for a little bit. So my schedule right now that I've been sticking to is 2 days on, 1 day off. And on that 1 day off, if I want to go, sometimes I do. And That's been something I've been trying to change in my life for the last month. I've been doing that about the last month or so, and we're up to about 27 minutes to work out. So my game plan for getting back in shape is just to go, just to be there. And so for the last 3.5 weeks or so, been 2 days, started at 20 minutes. At the end of the 3-day period, 2 days, one rest day, we up the time by a minute until I get to about 60 minutes. So we're about 27 minutes right now. You're a great instructor. Thank you, man. Have I read Elegant JavaScript? I have not. Good luck in your boot camp. Thoughts on learning model view controller? Model view controller is just sort of a way of thinking about your and structuring your application. If you are sort of familiar with how Angular works, then you kind of have an idea of the model view controller. But I don't know, it's just one sort of paradigm to web development. Your life story, how you became a developer, and how code changed your life. What type of change I'm waiting for? Reply, sir, because it's inspiring me. Well, good, man. I'm glad you found it helpful. Spent 2 years to code. Got my first job 2 weeks ago. $40 an hour, doubles what I'm making. Yeah, that's sort of what I'm talking about, right? Where you are going into a field where do you know how ridiculous it is to say you doubled your income? Doubled. You have twice as much money as you had before. Software is one of those crazy fields where that's possible. Most people, they're looking at dollar raise, $2 raise. They're not looking at doubling their income. So that's why you have to start thinking about these things now, man. Start making plans now before you mess yourself up and you're like, oh shit, I have a $700 car payment. That $700 raise I got in 1 year, $700 a month raise, I just decided to up it. I'm actually making less money in theory because now my insurance went up on top of it. I'm an idiot. I make bad choices, right? So, anyhow, 30 is the new 20. Hey, man. We're all going to live longer, that's for sure. But, I guess it takes. Are you saying it takes 10 extra years to mature? Is that what you're saying? Often find when I'm doing a programming problem, I find I do a solution, then try a different solution to solve it better, and then I end up finding the first solution was the best solution. I had wasted hours working on lesser alternatives. How should I approach the best solution to a problem without wasting time on these lesser solutions? Well, first off, I would say that chances are that you may be misinformed that you actually have the best solution. You're thinking your solution is the best. Perhaps you're only thinking of worse solutions because you don't know what the better solutions are, I suppose. So one potential solution is to pair up with someone who's a little bit more senior than you and could say, yeah, that is the best solution, in fact, or to take the approach of identifying what would make this better, right? So what would make my solution better? Are we trying to limit memory? Are we trying to limit iterations? Are we trying to lower the big O, right? So identify that and just don't try to come up with a better solution for the sake of coming up with a better solution. And of course, tackling the how we can write it better. Not necessarily that it runs better, but it's easier to read, more maintainable. Good luck, man. Good luck, Stevie B. I need to learn CSS. Any suggestions? Yeah, start building websites. Just actually building websites. That's really the only thing that taught me CSS really well. I learned so much in the last 4 or 5 months on the project I've been on because it's been so front end heavy that I actually had a chance to essentially build a ton of. I've probably built 20, 30 web components, reusable, UI components for this application, and I learned so much because of it. How much can a programmer earn? Quite a bit. How many hours a day do you work? So, my typical work day is from 8:30 to 5:30, Monday through Friday. But I mean, I do study outside of work, and I do sometimes show up about 20, 30 minutes early to work. And, I do work outside on YouTube and stuff, right? So, like, every time you see a video, that's work being done outside of work. I'm reading books. I'm doing the whole deal. Um, so there's probably another 20, 30 hours on top of that. A certain type of command line program you need to use. I think it doesn't really matter, man. I don't even think it's necessary to learn the command line. I mean, it helps. Am I planning on going back to Western Governors University? No, not a day, not a chance. Um, how would you rate yourself out of 10 as a developer? An 8. Um, in terms of where developers are with 2 years experience, I'd say about 8. Assuming you already had a house, how would you invest and use a chunk of money, say 85,000? Well, I'd talk to a money management professional. I'd probably start investing a monthly amount into mutual funds and then into stocks. Um, now, the second option, and this is probably what I would rather do. I'd go and find a duplex that I could rent out. So you have your house that you're living in. I'd go and find a rental property that I'd look to that's maybe it needs a little bit of work, because with 85K, you have the ability to put 50K down on something, 30K, 20K, right? Depending on the market. And you have enough money there, is what I'm trying to say, to still put a decent amount down while still having money to renovate. So that would be what I would do first. Any alternative to regurgitate HTML and CSS? Yeah, just build stuff, man. That's the best way. Just start building things. What do you think about working a job versus founding a startup as a dev? I mean, there's nothing wrong with founding a startup as a dev, but I mean, it doesn't always pay the bills, right? So, um, part of working a job means that someone's paying you. When you have to go out there and get the money, that's a hard thing, man. Just like YouTube, a very simple example of trying to gain an audience, right? And I'm not even trying to get you guys to buy anything, really. You show up for free content. Now imagine that you have to start that startup and you have to convince people to pay money for your product. So it's a much harder thing. I mean, you can learn the command line. I'm just telling you, I don't think it's a requirement unless you're going into something like DevOps. Now, I don't know. I think so. So Adam Scott, I think coding and software development is going to be useful for any organization. I mean, just think about this, right? You invent this lock. Okay, cool. You want to sell it? You want to sell it online? You're going to need a website. You need a web application to handle payments. You're going to need a way to handle pre-orders, back orders. It is, you're always going to need some sort of software, right? Don't you want to be able to speak intelligently when your devs or your contractors tell you it's going to be a year to build something? You're like, no, it's not, dude, because I know some stuff and I'm going to move on to the next person because that's ridiculous, right? So, yeah, and James makes an excellent point that smart locks are a thing as well. It's one of those things. So, keep that in mind. Would you recommend free code camp projects, stuff from your 29 side project? I recommend it all, man. build stuff. That's really what you need to do. Find something you're passionate about. Find an API you want to work with. If you're interested in like UFC, build something related to the UFC. Just do it. I use Windows. Is Windows looked down on amongst devs? I would say that Mac users look down on Windows, but they're the minority if you look at it logistically. It's the same thing with like iPhone users look down on Android, even though 85% of the smartphone market is Android and 50% is iOS. So I mean, these are Pascal. I think the more important thing is that you're asking a question that doesn't really matter. How much can a programmer earn? A ton, man. 6 figures plus. I haven't used GitHub Pages before, so I can't really tell you. But I mean, you can get a URL for $10 a year and then like $5 for hosting a month. So it's one of those things where just get a website, man. Just get a website. I think blockchain's excellent. If I was going to try and jump into the industry, I would start with blockchain. Because there's a huge gap and it's rapidly exploding, and I think it's just getting going. What problem does it solve? In general, it solves the ledger problem of, technically someone could go in and edit the database if we wanted at a company, and there'd be near to nothing that could be done. Now, that'd be immoral, illegal. You can't really do that with blockchain. It's sort of a slower but more secure database is how I look at it. It's not exactly accurate, but regardless if you think it's here, let me put it this way, Gavin. Regardless whether you think it solves a problem or not, the technology and the jobs in the technology, there is a larger demand than there is a supply, and that's worth going and investing time and energy into. How important was your UX UI design skills in your previous jobs? How important is general for devs? Not really. I mean, truly, you have UX UI guys to design stuff when it comes. It's a nice to have. Some roles it's more important than others, but because I've never been very good at UI UX, I've never, it's a separate role, right? That's the thing that you have to kind of understand, is that it's separate. It's kind of like would they want you? Would it be good for you to have? Yes. If would they? Is it going to make or break you? How often should you job hop? I have a saying that Matt and I say is like, what is company loyalty worth, right? And it's about $10,000. So once you get to $15,000, $20,000 and a bump in pay, it's time to job hop. And that's usually about a year in each year in software dev till you sort of hit that glass ceiling. I haven't talked about my new job too much. Yeah, we'll leave it at that for the time being. Stevie B, any advice about Git? I actually have a Git tutorial. It's about 26 minutes long, and I'd suggest you go watch it. It'll probably answer your questions. It'll get you up and going. Yeah, so Git, just to give a what, like, there's GitHub and then Git. GitHub sort of uses Git, but what it is version control for your code. So like you get to you get to essentially have different versions of your code so that you can keep track and like, oh, I made a new version, but I still want access to the old version if something breaks or I need to reference it. So what state do I live in? I'm in Florida. Making the moves. Best place to learn system architecture. I don't know, to be honest with you. Still having issues with coming up on content. So someone earlier, and I apologize for not answering the question, but asked about losing motivation. And it's something that I'm struggling with right now, I think. Where I've been so hyper focused on getting better and getting to that next salary range where I felt I was justified in, and turns out I was. And now that I've got there, I'm kind of in this weird place where my life is in this transitional phase, right? And so one thing that I've done is I've started working out again. That's good. That's taking time away from studying and being motivated in that aspect. And another thing I started to do is I start playing some games with friends and spending time looking at houses and stuff like that. So I'm in a strange transitional part, and I will keep putting out 2 videos a week in the weekend AMAs, but there's definitely a this is how I can put it. It takes a level of comfort to pull yourself back from being a workaholic, I guess is how I would put it. And that in itself is a hard thing to do. And I think part of that, I feel like I'm losing motivation because I'm actively trying to accomplish that, because I made a commitment to April that I would spend less time working and focus on other aspects of life outside of work, and cut back. And I think the part of cutting back makes me feel like I'm unmotivated, and so it's a hard thing to do for me personally. Like I have 80 hours of PTO that I have to use in the next month and a half because I didn't take any vacations. Like, so I don't know. It's I don't know if that's a much longer answer to a simple question about how it comes with creating content and stuff like that. But it has been I have some things. I just don't. I don't know. So, but yeah, I'll keep putting videos out. You ain't got to worry about that. YouTube will be a part of my life for my life. I foresee. How did the house shopping go? It went fantastic. So for some, as I mentioned, I'm looking at houses last weekend. April and I went to some models for some new construction, and we took a look at a few. I liked one quite a bit, and it was the one that I liked was a 2-story, 5-bedroom, 2.5 bath. It was either 25 or 2,600 square feet, brand new, backyard with a fence. Beautiful house, beautiful house. Hardwood floor in the first floor, and then carpet in the second floor. Master bedroom on the first floor, which is something I wanted. I want to say it was either granite or what's that other one that's not quartz countertops, which I liked. They had a den, laundry room, 2-car garage, the whole thing. And then they had a what do you call it? A pool. Not the house didn't have a pool, but the community had a pool. Yeah, that was 271,000 is what they were asking for it. So what's going on, baby?
I'm just watching.
You're making me nervous. I have to mute. We have to talk real quick. But yeah, so that was one that I really liked. Probably gonna get something around there. But yeah, so it went well. We checked out a bunch of places. I might even get bigger, honestly. They I think the biggest house they had was like 10 or 20 grand more, and it was like an extra 600 square feet, and it was like a 6-bedroom, 3-bath house.
Yeah, I think it was 3,000. 6 bedrooms.
Yeah.
3.5 baths.
Yeah, we didn't look at it, but I mean, honestly, any place we get is going to be bigger than what I have now. But part of it is my mom might relocate, so I want a big house if I'm going to take my mom in. My brother may need a place to stay. He says he's not coming to Florida, but he's coming back, unemployed, new job, doesn't really want to go back to his home city. It's one of those things where if I buy this house, I'm gonna be here for a couple of years, and in the worst case scenario, not the worst case, but I might Airbnb one of the rooms out, pay off my mortgage quicker, right? So, it's one of those things where that's why like the master bedroom being on the first floor is important, because one, if I'm going to take my mom in, if she suggested she might move to Florida and move in with me. When I told her I was looking at buying a house, I was like, well, shit, I guess. All right. So if I'm going to do that, we need a bigger house. Like that. We need the biggest house I can afford. I love my mom to death. I'd take her in, but it wouldn't be my first choice to live with my mother or my father. She never watch. No one in my family watches the YouTube channel. It's fine. All right. Just my real family. Just all you guys. Just the real 47 family members in here right now. So we have to do the math, figure out what I can put down, all that sort of stuff. But at the very least, I will be probably Airbnb some rooms out, make a few extra bucks, and go from there, I guess. How are we celebrating 50K? I don't know, man. God, it feels like the last sort of push to getting to 50K has been going really slow. YouTube channel's been slowing down a little bit lately in terms of views and watch time, which has translated to, let's see, how many subs have we gotten in the last 30 days? So we got 1,850 additional subs, right? So at that rate, what are we at right now? So we're at 47 too. So it's probably going to be another 6 weeks or so. So, yeah. So, I mean, I've talked to you guys about debt, not liking it. You guys think I've been hustling now? Just wait till I've signed and they're like, oh yeah, by the way, thank you for your $250,000 of debt on this house. I'll be like, look, we're gonna have this squashed in 3 years. I don't know how I'm gonna do it yet, but I'm gonna get you your money because I don't like owing money. All right, I just don't. It makes me feel bad. It stresses me out. I'm gonna pay off this house faster than people will even believe, man. You guys are gonna see me on Udemy, Udacity, Pluralsight, YouTube, Scrimba. I'm gonna be hitting them all. I'll be like, look, I'm ready to put in. Who needs what? Who needs what? Y'all need courses? Tell me what you need courses on, man. I'm about to put in some work. All right. Your boy is looking for contract work. All right. Y'all see. Y'all see. Hey, Dylan, I'm junior in college. Just got my first internship as a software engineer. Just want to thank you for your guidance and dedication. You're like a mentor to me. You're welcome, man. That's what I'm trying to be, at least for the time being. Are you ever gonna leave Florida? Yeah. I mean, I'm not in the next few months or in next probably few years, but yeah, I will. Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, in about I would say probably within 5 years, April's plan and I is to buy a truck, buy a large trailer, and then do a digital nomad sort of, a couple months on the road here or there, hitting all 50 states. So that's something that's going to happen. So that's one of our objectives. So once we get the house situation handled and we rebuild the nest egg, and April finally gets a job by some miracle. when April gets that job, that extra few bucks, we are going to go ahead and we're gonna go ahead and perhaps get a truck and a trailer to do a little bit of, just like some camping in and things like that. And April finally get a job. No, that's something that has not happened. And to be honest, it is something that is going to happen. Whether I have to get her a job at my workplace or not. All right. So she's over there talking about $100 she made, which isn't even $100 because she builds like Etsy type stuff, except not on Etsy. So she sews stuff, and she sold her first $100 with 36 of it or something like that being in supplies, which I paid for. So it's baby, I'm happy for you. I hope it continues, but I'm just saying. What contract work are you looking for? So a lot of the stuff that I've been doing outside of work has been creating courses and things for that, for like organizations. Any sort of front end contract work would be fine. I have the ability to work nights and weekends. My contracting rate is higher than I've been contacted by quite a few people. So my contracting rate is I was charging roughly 2 times my hourly rate. So I don't know what that would come to right now with my new salary. but it'd be somewhere around $90 an hour for a contracting rate. But depending on the work and depending on how necessary I am, that could drop a little bit. Yes, I use just some sort of Dell computer that the company paid for. Yeah. Any experience in the tropics? Yeah, I used to use them. I don't anymore. They tend to be expensive. They tend to upset your stomach, and they tend to burn you out. But they do work. But yeah. Did I miss some questions? The NERP stack? What do you think? I mean, it's the same thing as the MERN stack, except you added Postgres, which is fine. Yeah, man, I'm not ragging on her for doing $100. I was actually very proud that happened. I was telling my coworkers about it. I think that the thing I'm trying to make is that it's not currently a business model that is successful. You know, when her bills are $2,000 a month, probably. Let me see. What are her bills with rent, her insurance, food, her part of utilities? It's like 15 to 2,000.
I appreciate it. Can you please start talking about it again?
Oh, I think I've upset her. I'm just telling people how proud I am of you, baby. Anyhow, yeah, so before I get shanked here, let's move on to a different topic. Let's talk about the time April paid all the bills while I was unemployed. She'd probably appreciate that. But yeah, so anyhow, how's the taxi in Tampa? Tampa, like rents have been going up like 10% a year in Tampa because it's been sort of exploding in the area. And at least in my instance, I've had no issue getting offers, counter offers, things like that. I've not met a visually impaired deaf, no. But yeah, someone asked leaving Cal. So someone asked about Los Angeles versus Tampa. I'm originally from the Los Angeles area, Southern California area. Now I'm in Tampa. I will say that the hardest part for me was a little bit of adjusting to the humidity. It didn't really bother me, but it's finding good food, man, good Mexican food. It's also just hard to make relationships to a new area, right? It's something that, having worked with the group of devs I do now, I've started becoming friends with them outside of work and things like that. That has helped me out quite a bit. But in terms of cost of living, in terms of housing and things like that, it has been great. It's something that I highly recommend looking into. Y'all need to stop laughing about me about to get bitched out by April. All right, it ain't that funny. We were just doing the numbers. Yeah, and I mean, you go to meetups, you meet people, hopefully your coworkers are in the same stage of life you are in, or relatively close, and it's a bit of a challenge, right? And I know that I've suffered with it, and this is somebody who needs probably less social interaction than most, right? You get social interaction at work, but between having, at least just interaction on a YouTube level, right? That's some sort of interaction, whether it's the same as, not, it's not. But then there's April and I interaction, but we can only stand each other for so long, right? Right now she can't stand me very much, it seems like, but it's but yeah, so it's all relative, right? So I would say that I would say that the effort to make connections and it's something that you have to put some effort into, right? Start making friends. And as a self-taught developer, how can I learn the best practices? Well, in the description, there's a couple books that you can read that I think will help you. You'll see all 3 or 4 of them I think are going to really help you quite a bit. And I think they're all relevant. So I'd highly suggest them. Do I watch any Twitch developer or nerd channels? I don't watch Twitch anymore. I do watch a couple YouTube channels, some Hearthstone channels. I don't really play Hearthstone anymore, but I enjoy Hearthstone. I also watch a couple, I guess nerd channels would be like Boogie. I watch Boogie. And I also watch in terms of dev channels, Coding Tech is another great channel I watch quite a bit. I have heard that Galvanize bought Hack Reactor. Didn't Galvanize buy some other boot camp and then shut them down? Or am I going crazy? I might be getting that confused with something else. I'm starting my apprenticeship soon. 2 days of school, 3 days at work. Thank you, baby. Now we can finish talking about her. No, I would so my thing, Mr. Gravelord, is it doesn't have to be one or the other, right? You can still build projects while working on algorithms and data types. So I encourage you to do both, right? The both is really in a awesome way to grow. And I think it's the preferred way, because what's going to happen is you're going to have days where you're frustrated. You're going to have days where you're tired, with days where you're stuck on your algorithm, stuck on your data structure, stuck on your project. And you need the ability to transition to something else. Now, if you have a one-track mind and I'm doing this project, I'm finishing until I do, it's gonna suck, man. And you need to give yourself the room to say, you know what, I'm gonna go practice algorithms. I'm gonna go practice data structures and go that way in your free time. So I would take that mentality with it. Hearthstone. It's a Blizzard card game. HEARTHSTONE. Do I ever read documentation from start to finish? Only when I'm building courses. That's the only time when I'm like, okay, I'm building a JavaScript course. Let's see if there's some random shit in JavaScript I never have touched in a million years. Oh yeah, here's a few things. And then it's like, okay. How do you get over the fear of missing out and just focus on studying? I try not to be so basic. So, what I fear more than missing out? I fear being that guy who's 75 and has to bag groceries because he didn't plan for his retirement properly. That's a much more fearful thing to me. I fear being that guy that is worried about living paycheck to paycheck, having that stress in life, and now I have to, I have to figure out how I can still make a check because I never paid off a house. That's what I fear. The fear of going out every night and getting fucked up. Hey, man, I did all that shit. Yeah, I did all that stuff, and it's fun. I'm not telling you not to do it. I'm just telling you that I haven't done any of that in the last 3 years till I get to where I wanted to be today. And if I wanted to do that again now, great. I got to where I needed to be. But to put the fun on hold, if you want to look at it that way, for the next for 3 to 4 or 5 years seems like a minor thing to do for a lifetime of returns. So it's just a maturing thing, I suppose. It's just I mean, at some point you have to become an adult. You have to mature and say, look, I'm going to put time now for a better return later. It's investing in yourself. What are the first recommended coding language? I would say JavaScript's pretty user friendly. There's also a lot you can do with it. So I think JavaScript's there. Is 30 still youngish? I think 30 is pretty young. Some of you guys are so worried about age, man. It's so crazy. I'm 30, man. I'm 30. I'll be 31 in October. So I don't know what to tell you. I'm 30. I got fucking braces. This guy keeps telling me we're any day are taking off. I'm like, oh god. What's the oldest dev you work with? Somewhere around 75. But he's a manager. 70, 75. He's a manager. My previous guy was in the same range. He was a manager as well. But they still do development. What cities or countries would you live in if you worked remotely? I'd probably just move around. That'd probably be what I would do. All right, guys. So me? No, I'm 30. I'll be 31 in October, baby. I hope you all are planning some good birthday gifts. Your boy's buying a house. He's gonna need some money. Yeah. Anyhow, here's the thing, guys. Like, ageism, racism, all that stuff exists in some form or fashion, right? I'm not saying it's rampant by any means, but it's always going to exist no matter what industry you're in. And, you know, we can talk about it and complain about it. And we can work towards making it better, and we should. But the talking about it and complaining about it, it's not going to accomplish anything. Let's just work on getting so good that we can overcome these things. And that's what the mindset I want you to have. So, you know, complaining about things in life has little to no returns. Let's work on doing something that has returns. You don't have returns, not spending our energy on this, but spending it on getting better and becoming a better developer. So that's what I would say. With that being said, guys, I appreciate you all. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, share the videos coming out. I got to go work on some content for us for this coming week. I'm not quite sure what I'll be doing for the videos for this coming week. And then, of course, check out, if you want to check out some books I recommend, we have some links in the description, as well as links to my courses down below, such as the 100 algorithm challenge, which I just updated with 10 new videos to get you prepped for those technical interviews. So technical phone interviews. So with that being said, see you guys next time. Bye.